Welcome to day 2 of 1,350 days. Now, before I go any further, I just want to let you guys know my routine when it comes to book sales. The majority of my book sales are on Amazon, either selling Kindle versions of my book, Escape the System, or paperback versions. I do also make some sales when I go to talks and have a paperback version and sell copies off the back of the talks, but most of my sales are on Amazon. Now, I check my Amazon account every Monday, and I started doing this pretty much from the very start because I found right at the start when I began selling, when I first put my book online, this is way back in 2012, I was very attached to my results. So I would be very excited about the prospect of making sales, but then also hugely disappointed if when it came to looking at my sales, there was a big fat zero in the Amazon account. To counter that, I make sure I just check my sales every Monday. This stops me getting too emotionally attached. And I think for everybody who is trying to sell something, whether that's a book or a product or their services, you don't want to be too emotionally attached to the outcome. You've got to be somewhat indifferent. This is something I've learned through tennis coaching, through hypnotherapy, through book selling. If you get too disappointed and too emotionally connected to making a sale, then it's unlikely that the sales are going to occur. This is just a general rule that I've found. Anyway, for today, the book count is exactly the same, 1,082. And let's take a look at my Amazon account right now. So what you can see here is the very disappointing sales figures for the last 2 weeks. It's a total flat line. That's 2 weeks of sales, absolutely zero. And I actually think if I showed further figures back, may even be 3 weeks, possibly even longer. 3 weeks probably since I've sold a copy on Amazon. And that's really frustrating. I think frustrating is the best word to describe it now. As I said in the past, going back to 2012, 2013, it would have been more like heartbreaking for me to look at that and see a zero. Now it's frustrating, and I'll explain why in a minute. But here's the actual page for the book, Escape the System. And you can see that's 42 reviews. Virtually all of those are 4-star. Not 4-star, 5-star reviews. You can see just down there, I think only 2 of those are 4-star. So it's not a case that the book sucks. It's more that people don't know about the book. And this is the really frustrating thing. When you have a good book, but people just have no idea that it exists. And you guys can, if you want to, click on this page. I'll leave a link for it. And check out some of the reviews. People have written some really good stuff about the book. And this is just amazon.co.uk. I have 20 more 5-star reviews on amazon.com. So it can be a really frustrating experience when you know you've got a good book, yet people just aren't seeing it. Because you could just look at those sales that I've just shown you and say, come on, Joe, time to give up. Focus on some other books. It's clear that Escape the System isn't selling for whatever reason that might be. Create some more books, focus on those. And there is some wisdom in that logic. And I do have my second book, which is being released by Watkins Media in February 2020. And I am writing and quite a way through my third book, The Genius of Joe Barnes, which should be self-published by me later in the year. So there is some credibility in that line of thought, but I believe in Escape the System so much. I really feel I may go on to write. I've got 5 or 6 more books planned, but I always think that this one is going to be the one which is sort of the closest to my heart, the closest to my. If I had a message for the world, if I wanted to stand up and say something, which I guess is essentially what I'm doing, it would be the contents of Escape the System. Challenge conventional wisdom. Don't just accept the world as it's presented to you. You have the ability to create something new. I think that's such a powerful message, and that's why, despite, as I've shown you guys there, the lack of sales at the moment, I keep plugging it and I keep sticking with it because I believe in it so much. So obviously the topic for today is my current lack of sales. I told you guys this is going to be an honest channel. I'm not going to hide anything from you. If I'm struggling, I'm going to show it. And you've seen right there that this is a tough journey. And as I said, my goal is to reach 1 million. And I'm showing you here 2 weeks, which actually goes back longer, what should be 3 weeks of flatlining sales. So I have bitten off a almighty mission. However, I'm going to keep going with it. And the lesson for today, basically for you guys, is if you have a product, not just a book, could be anything, and it's not selling presently, then don't panic. I think that's the lesson I've learned over the years. Don't panic. I've been in this situation, which I showed you just there, many, many times. This isn't the first time, but now that I've become somewhat established, I recognize that my book will sell. There will be barren spells where I'm not making any sales, but I know, because from past experience, from sales, not only on Amazon, but going to events, selling books at events, that you can go through a banner and sell, but the sales will pick up. So don't panic, don't fret, don't make any rash or crazy decisions. Stick the course and keep promoting what it is that you believe in. So that's day 2 over. Join me in, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days time for what will be day 5 of 1,350 days.